Welcome to the Teresa Harding Podcast, where you will learn from one of the top leaders in the network marketing industry. Teresa Harding has grown her team to over millions of people. She's grown online and she's grown offline, and now she's ready to show you the secrets. So get ready to change the way you think. She truly cares about the success of her team and the people that she teaches. So get ready to learn the tips, tricks, and secrets that will allow you to grow a successful business in the 21st century.
I'm Teresa Harding, and this is the Teresa Harding Podcast. This podcast is for people who know that this industry is not about the network marketer anymore. It's about the people we serve and the change we can make in other people's lives. It's about the entrepreneur inside of each of us who's trying to find our voice. It's for the people who want to change the world and are looking for the most powerful way to make that happen. I went to an event this last weekend, and it opened my eyes. It's one of these things that you always know. It's one of those things that is in the back of your mind, and it's kind of one of those obvious things that people think, well, duh, of course. But it brought it home to me, and I made some powerful notes at this event, and I'm going to share this with you because it was actually an event put on. We had our convention for our company, and the day after convention was over, there were a group of the younger generation. You know, some people call them the millennials. Then you've got Gen X, Generation Z, Generation Y, whatever. They're calling it something different all the time. They actually thought of a cool, catchy name that will actually stand the test of time so that it doesn't matter what they call the next generation. This is for the young people. And they started off a little bit small, and they ended up having a huge response just with the small amount of marketing that was done. They had a full room. It was seriously powerful. I'm not in that generation, but guess what? I work with a lot of leaders who are that age. They're the younger age group, anywhere between 18 to 30. And you guys, these people are powerful, and they are going to be the ones leading the next generation. So we better figure out what it is that they need, what it is that they want, what their dreams are, what is powerful for them. Because let me tell you something that happens in the network marketing industry. Most companies, even the ones that get really successful, they do great. Well, they have all these big leaders, all these people who make some good money, and then there are always people who are excited about the hope and the possibility of building with your company. But then what happens is, as the years go by, those leaders who made it big, they get older and older and older, and the companies do not know how to bring in the younger generation at a level that makes them excited, that doesn't make them feel like they're coming into the geriatric ward. You guys, we have got to know how to work with this group, and we've got to care about what they need, because it's easier as you get older to look down at the younger generation below you and go, oh, brother, they don't get it. They'll figure it out. You do that and you shut them out. Because if the whole goal the entire time is to change people's lives, and the only way we can change people's lives is to figure out what it is that they need, what they want, what their dreams are, then that goes for the younger generation too. So one of the things that I thought was so profound, I thought was so powerful, is that they had masterminds, they had hot seats, they did some powerful trainings. But when the event was over, I couldn't believe how the feedback that came back to the people who ran the event. One of which, partly why I went, is because my son was one of the ones who ran the event. He and his friend Regan, they did a phenomenal job. I was really impressed, and I thought, wow, I've got to up-level my game. These guys are rocking it with the marketing and the way that they're doing things and the way that they're attracting their dream client. It was powerful. And the feedback they got, almost more than anything, was, now I finally found somewhere that I belong. I finally felt like I belonged somewhere. You guys, if this is what they are feeling, then I am telling you right now, we're doing something wrong. And even my son, who hit ranks at a very young age, and he is making a significant income. He's, in the top probably 5% of the world at the income that he makes. It's powerful. And he told me this after this event. He said, you know what? It was powerful for him to hear that response back, because he said he's 29 and he's so he's getting to the end of his 20s, but he hit these ranks as he's been younger, and it has been powerful. And what he said to me was, he said, when I hit certain rank in our company, it's silver. Different companies have different names. Silver in our company is right where, okay, that's a rank. Like the ranks below that, of course, they're awesome ranks, but it's more stepping stones. And silver is where you start to get shares in the company's revenues for the entire company. That's kind of the first rank where you get recognized at convention. He said, even when I hit silver and I walked across the stage, I would come to the events that are for silvers and above. He said, I knew a lot of the people that were the big leaders because they were your friends. He's talking to me. He listed some of the names. He said, these guys are my friends. I know them and I hung out with them. I felt totally comfortable with them. But he said, I still would go to these events and feel like I didn't really belong, because they're not really my peers. I don't go search out 16-year-olds to go hang out with and go play and go do activities with and go on vacations with. There's a reason that we hang out with people who are in our age group, who are in our demographic and the stats that fit with what we are doing in our life and the age that we are. He said, I didn't really feel like I fit. And here's a kid who is eloquent, speaks in front of huge groups of people, is invited to speak all over, lived in China, building his business. He is confident, and here he's telling me this. And so for him to see the response that they got from this event that they did, I thought that was huge. It's an event for young people, put on by young people. They had no presenters that were older. It was awesome. And I'm going to give you some of the notes that I wrote down, because I thought, you guys, if I'm going to be at this event, I'm here to cheer my son on, to, support him. I'm so proud of him. I wanted to be there. And so these are just some of the things that were super powerful to me. As I was working with them, as I got to be in the mastermind groups, I joined in some of the activities. I tried not to butt in too much, but there were some bullet points that I wrote down every time I noticed something or thought of something because of what they were saying that made me realize what they care about, what matters to them. I wrote it down because I thought, you know what? This is something that is going to help me be a better leader. It's going to help me lead the charge better and help them in their businesses. Because even though I am not in that age group, well, guess what? I work with tons of people in that age group. I work with people in that age group. I have leaders in that age group. I want to attract people in that age group. And the fastest way you can kill a company is to not bring in the younger generation. If you are not bringing in the younger generation, what's going to happen is, little by little, you will lose touch with half of the world's population. And pretty soon, they're not going to be interested anymore. And your product is going to feel obsolete, even though it might still be really awesome and pretty darn amazing. So let me pull out my notebook. These are actual notes that I took that day where I was making sure that I wrote down these bullet points. Okay, and I ended up having a whole page. So let me tell you, these are the things I realized. These are the people this is what they want. And even if you hear these items on this list and you think, oh, brother, they need to get over it. Or, oh my goodness, they'll figure it out as they mature. I am telling you right now, you better figure out a way to accept who they are, because we had our turn to mature through those ages. They get their turn too. And they are ready to change the world. Unlike any generation I've seen before, they are truly wanting to change the world, and they want to change the world because in a way that is service oriented, where they can follow their dreams. They don't want, and so realize that part of these things that can be taken as a kind of a negative thing or a negative attitude, these are actually some of the beautiful things that make them who they are. So we better figure out a way to accept it and love that about them and let them have their turn to mature through the process. That's fine. They'll figure things out. But so I'll just go through the list. The first thing, they want to be able to go with the flow. They talk like they don't want discipline, not necessarily discipline. They talk like they don't want to have structured stuff. They don't want to have to follow the structures that everybody else followed. But the reality is they're okay with structure as long as it feels like they get to follow their own path. Next, they don't want to follow the rules. They don't want to feel like they have to follow the rules that everybody else set out for them just because that's the way it's always been done. Now, realize each one of these things are things that if you look at it negatively, it's something that you could it would be easy to think, oh my goodness, oh brother, well of course you have to abide by the rules. If nobody stops at the red traffic lights, then you're going to have mayhem on the roads. Well, duh, but that's not what they want. They don't mind having to have principles and have those guidelines, but they don't want to feel like that is like guiding every single step and they have to do X, Y, Z. And they want their turn to figure it out too. Next thing, they don't want too much rigidity. Some of these are similar but slightly different. Next, they don't want the authority, the quote, authority to run their life. They don't want to feel like, whoever is in charge is the boss of them. And by the way, we kind of all feel that way in a lot of different ways at different times. Next thing, they want to be able to combine their passion with what they love. So having passion about something, like I might get really excited to make a lot of money, but that's not what I love. What I love is changing people's lives. So to be able to combine those two things, if I can change people's lives and be poor, I would choose that over being rich and having a meaningless life. And guess what? I've had both. I've been poor. I've had a lot of money. It's been a blessing now in our lives. So I know the difference. And I would absolutely choose that. But why can't you have both? That's another thing. They want to have it all. They believe they can have their cake and eat it too. And I'll tell you this, I am never one to say it can't be done. In fact, that's probably my biggest pet peeve. Don't ever tell me it can't be done, or I will figure out a way to do it and I will prove it. Okay, next thing. They want to incorporate their emotions and emotional health into what they're doing. And depending on the way they approach emotional health, their wording is different. Some people are more what some people might call more eccentric, or some people are more woo-woo. Some people are more mainstream in this young generation. But in general, they talk about it differently, but in general, they all want that. Let's see. They want systems or things that they can do that are user-friendly. It better be easy or user-friendly or both. And the reality is, people act like, oh, well, they don't even know how to work anymore. Yes, there are some people who don't. Of course, there are some kids who were never trained, who don't, who have certain character traits or disciplines that they still need to learn. But as a general rule, this whole group wants it user-friendly, which is actually a wonderful thing, because let me tell you why this is great. Because they have grown up on smartphones and they can get answers immediately on Google, and there are so many ways that they get solutions to their problems handed to them. One of the struggles that creates is that if they've never been taught how to create solutions for themselves, then they're going to struggle with that until they come across the disciplines that need to be learned. But the ones who do know how to create solutions for themselves, guess what? They're going to create and progress our humanity to a completely different level. Because think about the way Henry Ford changed our life. He was the first one who really established, or was well known for, creating an assembly line, where before each person would do all 10 steps of the job in order. Once he created the assembly line, all of a sudden, it got so much faster, was so much more efficient, that they were able to accomplish a lot more and change a lot more lives and hire a lot more people. It changed everything. So realize that because they want things that are user-friendly and easy, their solutions are not going to feel like solutions to them unless it creates the kind of solution that is easier and more user-friendly than anything that has been done before. They are going to change the world. This is the next thing I wrote down. They feel love about serving, and they want to feel like they are serving, like they are adding the humanitarian piece to everything they do. And you want to know what it made me realize? To me, that's a given. Duh, of course. And in our company, that's huge. The service, the humanitarian aid, the humanitarian foundation that the company has, and a lot of companies have their own foundation. Well, guess what? I realized, you know what? To me, of course, that's a given. but I don't talk about it enough. I don't verbalize it enough, and we need to verbalize it enough that it is so clear that someone who has never heard of our company before, who has never heard you present before, who has no clue what this is all about, you cannot just assume that they're going to know. You need to incorporate the humanitarian aid piece into everything that you do. The next thing, they want freedom. They want freedom for themselves. They want freedom in their lives. They don't want to share something. They're not going to bring a business opportunity to somebody else unless they know it's going to bring them freedom. That's powerful. And the next thing I wrote, they care about finding alignment. They want to find alignment inside themselves with what their passions are. Some of them call it divine alignment. Some of them who may not believe in a God or whatever, they still call it alignment. They want to create oneness with what they feel like is their divine purpose on this earth. What it is that they are supposed to contribute, what they're supposed to do. They want to feel like they're able to do that because it matters to them. So the question is for you, are you open to learning about this generation? To opening your mind and getting rid of the prejudices and the attitudes about how they don't want to learn and they don't want to give. Of course you're going to run across people like that. Is that your dream business partner? No, then don't work with them. But find the people who are your dream client, and they can be in this generation. And for those of you who are this generation and you are listening, I want you to know you will change the world and you will lead us into the next century. And you know what? We want to learn from you. We hope that you can learn from us. We can be the stepping stone that will help you launch what you are trying to do so much faster. If there's mutual respect between the two age groups and between the two, I say two when really there are several different levels of ages and all the different experience and wisdom. We need to learn from each other. And that is what is going to launch us into the next segment of where this industry is going to go, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. So think about that in your business. Think about ways that you can incorporate that, and I would love for you to share your ideas. I'm sure that as we've been talking today, as you've been listening, you've been thinking of different ways that you can do this. I would love to hear your comments. You are going to help people by adding your comments below, your thoughts, your ideas, and make sure they're constructive. I'm all about differences of opinion. And as you listen to me more, you'll understand I absolutely will call it like it is, but there's no reason to be putting anybody down, making jabbing statements. We can absolutely disagree and do it in a respectful way that is constructive and helps us all learn about the differing opinions, the different views, the things we're worried about, what our concerns are. So join me, and I'm going to be watching for comments, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.